I want to show you these little shoes. In fact, these are little tiny clogs, and you can see on the bottom there, they're wood and they're nailed and they're quite hard, and they've got rubber and nails on the bottom, so it's a wooden bottom. You can hear that wood. And then it's nailed around the side. See the nails around the side, and it's stitched. Now these are very, very similar to the little clogs I used to wear when I was at school. The only difference about these is the stitching is a different color. I had red stitching and red shoelaces, and these shoes I absolutely loved with a passion. So you can see how tiny they are compared to my hand. They're very, very tiny, very, very tiny, and for tiny feet. So as a 3-year-old boy, I always look forward to playing in the school playground with my little clogs on. I loved that clip-clop sound as we're playing in the playground. However, there was one much older boy who always ruined my fun. He seemed to take pleasure in bullying me for no apparent reason. We've all been there. This older boy, this bigger boy who seemed stronger, he took pleasure in bullying me for no reason that I could think of at all. Every single morning he would run over to me. Now, bear in mind, all the children in my school, they all wore these clogs, and they've got metal on the tip there. Can you see the metal on the tip there? All of the clogs had metal. So this boy was taller than me and a little bit older than me. Every morning he would run over to me and he would kick me very hard in the shins with his wooden sole, metal tipped clog shoes. And the pain, you can imagine, was excruciating. And he always made me cry. He made tears physically come down my face. This went on day after day after day, and I was terrified of him. I was terrified of him. Every time I saw him from the corner of my eye, fear gripped me. Fear gripped me inside, and I was very stressed, very agitated. One day, the bully marched over to me and started pushing me around. I tried to turn away and hide my face as he grabbed me and spun me around. Then he looked me right in the eye, pulled my hair, and kicked me in the shin again. The pain was so intense that I could barely see through my tears. But then something snapped inside of me. I felt this fierce anger rising up in my stomach, and I marched over to the bully, and I looked at him straight in the eye, and I kicked him back with all of my might. That's right, I give him one heck of a kicking with my shoes. They're very hard wearing shoes. All that strength came from nowhere. And I went over to him, I looked him right in the eye, and I kicked him right back with all of my strength, with all of my might. And guess what happened? The bully was shocked and screamed out loud, "Ah!" And when I looked down, I saw that my clog shoes had left a big bruise on his shin. And he ran away. He ran to the teacher, and he told the teacher on me. And I was sent home with a letter explaining my misbehavior, not his misbehavior, but my misbehavior. The letter also said that I was no longer allowed to wear my beloved clogs. I loved these clogs so very, very much, and I was banned from my school at 3 years of age from wearing my favorite shoes. I was heartbroken. I was devastated, and especially since it wasn't even my fault. But I learned a lesson that day. I learned a lesson. On reflection, I should have handled the situation much better. Now I'm older, now I'm wiser, and now I'm a Christian, a believer in the one and only true living God. I'm called to love my enemies and pray for those who persecute me, instead of reacting in anger. If I had known Jesus earlier in my life, I'm sure that I would have tried to find a way to resolve the conflict peacefully and show grace and forgiveness to the bully. That's what I should have done. But as a child, you know no difference. You don't know how to handle those situations. And even for some adults, it's extremely difficult when you're faced with bullies or when you're being persecuted. Somebody contacted me today. They sent me a message saying they're a believer. They teach the gospel, they serve the poor, and they contacted me in a message saying how this subject is very close to their heart, because even now as an adult they're being persecuted, and the back windshield of this person's car was broken because this person was preaching the gospel, and it's very, very sad. But we've got to learn not to react in anger. We've got to learn to react with God's love and God's grace and try and find a peaceful solution in times of conflict. And we've got to learn to forgive our bullies, our persecutors. That's what we must do.